So it's recording.
Oh, no, I don't want it to record.
Maybe we can stop recording. It's recording, but when I do a record, it doesn't stop it. I'm not sure I see a place to. Huh. I don't see a way to stop the recording.
Whoa.
Now this,
What if I wanted to make the chair go down?
yeah, I don't know if, so right now, hon, look, it's got because the skylight is in there, it might not make it that clear. And we have a skylight there too, so, and then we get the window here. So actually, that's maybe better there. So if you're, I think maybe sitting in this chair would be better. Yeah. Or, yeah, it's actually nice. That's great, don't you think?
Okay.
Put that right up there. Nice.
Am I hooked up yet?
It's actually, you're there. This is the Zoom meeting.
But where is everyone else?
They haven't showed up yet.
It says it's still recording.
It's recording because I just launched the meeting. Let's see if we go. 100%. Hi, sweetheart. Guess I don't. Did you say something about me doing this?
Did I say something about you doing what?
Taking the.
Yeah, just take it downstairs and leave it there because that's a harsh shadow.
I wonder if I can go join the meeting somehow, like from my phone or something.
Maybe.
How would I do that?
So why is it recording?
Hang on, let me try to join this. Because it just automatically started recording it. Let me see.
No, now that's really harsh. I'm gonna have to move this chair, mate.
Meeting ID. So I need is the meeting ID. I wish I had your computer.
Computer's in the other room.
So see if the meeting ID is here. I don't think that's the ID. I think that might be the ID. Let me try that. Meeting ID is 85287 0726. Oops. Meeting passcode.
There is a passcode.
Yeah, but I don't have it. So these are only the people that I guess got this, right? Yeah, I've got that. I'm there. So when I do that, it says, I click on that and it says I have to join this, says I need the passcode.
Says if this link doesn't work, go to the paperwork site website. Click on meetups, then click on a link.
Is it paperworks.com or something?
Mm-hmm.
Paperworks Tucson. And go to meetups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes somebody.
Oh,
You know, it's working.
it's Anita. Hi, Anita.
Hi. Let's see, this meeting is being recorded. Okay. Oh, Christy! You were covered up by a thing and I didn't know who I was talking to yet. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. How are you?
How are you doing?
Okay.
Good, all right. I'm glad you came to the meeting today. That's great.
Yeah. I'm actually supposed to give a little
Yes,
blurb.
that's good. All right, that's good. Let's see. All right. Mute, Vicky. Okay. What happened to Sherry? She must be here because she had to open this up for us. Hey, Sherry.
Actually, we may have
No,
opened it.
Chrissy opened it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, totally cool. Now, aren't you something?
Well, no, it's Dave, my husband. He's something because he's had to do this all for a year and a half.
Sure. No, I know. This is has been quite a year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known how to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. All right. Well, Sherry said she wasn't feeling well, but I'm assuming that she'll be here. Here she comes now.
There she is.
Here she comes now. Oh, goody, goody. Vicky's here.
I am.
Oh,
I'm
you're
I'm
not
incognito today.
What?
I'm incognito today.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. I hear your voice, but I can't see you. All right. Good.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you get a haircut, Sherry?
Yeah, I did.
It's cute.
Well, it's something.
It's your summer cut.
Yes. Mm. How's everybody doing?
Okay, I'm making a
Okay.
list of things.
So far,
that
so
we need
good.
to, the next meeting.
Hi, Connie.
July 10th, next meeting.
Just got back from California, so a little bit of the cool beaches and Coronado.
Nice.
That
Oh,
sounds nice.
hello. That must have been nice. Yeah.
It was real nice. It's just amazing though. California has so many people and so many interstates.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, and I guess everybody's out because they can be out. I mean, wherever they need to go. Next meeting, July 10th. Right.
Vicky, and Linda, do you mean to be signed in with no picture?
I certainly do.
Ah!
I just got back from playing pickleball. You don't want to
Oh.
see my sweaty face.
Oh, good for you in this weather.
Well, I went there at 7, so.
Yeah.
Yes, I am faceless too on
Uh-huh.
purpose.
Yeah, I should be.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I should be too. I'm getting this giant sty on my eye.
Oh
I haven't had one for decades, I don't guess. so-
Yeah, usually you get those when you're a little kid.
Exactly. Well, and it has been decades since I've been a little kid, so I don't know what's causing that. Maybe it's this wind. I'll tell you, this dust and wind. I don't know.
Oh,
Whatever.
I don't see.
My husband got a sty a couple months ago and it took him forever to get rid of it.
Oh, that's what I'm
no.
afraid of. I just realized I was getting one yesterday, so
Well,
yeah.
he did the hot packs on it. He didn't want to do the drugs too much.
I don't have drugs for it, so I'm gonna have to. Hot packs, is that
Hot-
what helps?
Yes.
Okay, hot packs. Hot packs on your
Mm.
eye? How do you do that?
I would just get the ointment and get it over with.
I remember the ointment back from when I was, but don't you have to have a prescription for that?
Yeah, probably.
Well, here it is. Okay, heal thyself.
Mm.
Hmm. Okay, right. I think I'm organized. I don't know. Sherry, can you think of anything other than announcing the next meeting and bring your works in process? What else do we need to do here?
I've been talking to Joe about,
Announcements, I mean, or anything?
yeah, well, kind of an announcement, but I'll wait a little
Oh,
bit.
okay, you'll make it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can make an announcement about the Poetry Center and when it's gonna be open.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
Rebecca's in the dark.
yeah, I'm saving electricity here. I think I better turn on a light.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
all right.
Hey, is that
Hi,
Maria?
Laura.
Hi, Maria.
Good morning.
Oh, there's Laura.
Nice to see you all. How y'all surviving the heat? Heard it's getting pretty hot down there.
Getting
I'm in
hot.
Flagstaff, so it's not too bad.
Not bad. You know, it's so non-humid and you kind of I'm adapting more or less. I mean, I make sure to go out every day a little bit to adapt. But,
Yeah, I'm with Anita on that. I do
Yeah.
really well until about September, and then I start to get tired of it.
Well, yeah, but
Well, I miss it. When I left Tucson on Saturday, it was 102. And when I got to Portland, it was 52.
Oh,
That was just rude.
Right.
okay.
I
Yeah,
miss-
52, that's a little too cold.
And it's been raining the whole time I've been here, so I'm ready to come back home to the desert.
Oh,
Yeah, except for it's gonna be 112 in Tucson over this next week. Yeah. That's kind of about too much.
Oh,
But
crazy.
whatever. I guess we should get started. I don't know. What time is it? 10:01 by my computer. Oh, let's see. Lynn Hart, she's supposed to be giving.
I'm right here.
Okay, Lynn.
Let me just move something that's distracting. Anyways, I'm a very fidgety person. I'm like the princess and the pea, so just ignore my little idiosyncrasies. But I promise my slideshow is going to be good.
I like your overalls. What are those really called?
Well, now they're calling them like rompers, which I hate that.
Oh, that
Because
sounds
it's like an overalls. Here, I'll give you a little fashion show.
all right. Then we should get started.
They're just really loose, like cotton. They have weird pockets, you know.
I like that.
I found them on Amazon. At first it was like, oh, they're made in China. I was like, well, shit, so is everything else. So what does it matter? So I love overalls, and these are like lightweight for summer. And here I am.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. And I guess we'll get started. Let's see. Sherry, did you have an announcement that you wanted to make?
Well, I just really wanted to say, I've been talking to Joe about photography of our pieces and stuff that are going in. And some people have photographers that they deal with and various things, but she's been talking with Jim Callan about taking photographs. And originally he was thinking about maybe doing a online sort of Zoom thing, but that's just not really his forte. So they finally come to an agreement is that if you want him to take photographs of your work, you have to make arrangements with him and have the pictures taken by the end of October. So then the alternative to that is, of course, find your own, or I'm also going to be compiling some resources online that will tell you how to take pictures with your phone and, the best ways to do that. So anyway, that was kind of about it. It was just more about information.
Sherry, there's actually a book about taking your own pictures, and I won't go run to my bookshelf and get it, but I can shoot an email to you. You can.
Yeah, I know there is, but I just didn't, to keep people from having to spend money. I was just going to grab some, there's some wonderful videos out on the web. I've already got a couple of them lined up. So I appreciate
Have you
that.
looked at, Laura, Laura's raising your hand. You're probably going to say what I was going to say, Laura, so go ahead.
On the 23 Sandy website, there are 3 extensive articles about how to photograph your artist books. I'll post a link to them in the chat right now.
Perfect. So
Sherry,
anyway.
Sherry, can I interrupt you for just a minute? I'm getting a text from Bobby. She's having trouble getting in the meeting. And so I guess Ann Stevens is either as well. They're saying
I finally got in. I'm here.
Oh, okay. So, but Bobby's saying that it's asking her for a password.
Yeah, it asked me too. If you just click on the password, there's a password link apparently that you can click on. My husband did it while I was looking at something else, so I didn't observe this.
Just go to the website.
Okay.
No, hit password link. Tell her to hit password link or
All
something.
right, I'll tell her.
Whatever it is.
Thanks. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Anyway, that was all. I just wanted to let you know, and there'll be more information on it in the, newsletter or something. So,
Yeah.
and thanks, Laura. I will get that to people.
You're welcome. I'll post it in just a few minutes. I'm trying to find it.
So just what I want to say is certainly don't think that you can't enter this if you're having problems with photography. We'll work it out when we get closer to the deadline date with that, okay?
When is the new deadline date?
I think it's December. Sherry and I will come out with the actual form soon. It's December something, 15th. I don't have that information right at hand.
On my board, I have 12/15. I don't know if it's changed since I wrote it on there, but that's what I have on my.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I think that's what I had in my mind. 15th.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So let's go with that. One more announcement, I guess, is the Poetry Center will be reopening. Yippee! August 17th is the reopening, so I can't wait to go see the new display cases and reconnect down there. So this is all very good. So they will be open for our, barring any other extreme problems, by spring for our show, more than open. So
Did you say August 17, Anita?
I did.
Okay, just want to note it down. Thank you.
It just sometimes it seems like, well, maybe this will never happen. These things that have been postponed for so long, but all right, I guess we should get started, huh? Between Lynn and Christy, who wants to go first?
Oh, go ahead, Lynn.
Sure, I'll go first. I don't mind going first.
Just want to say, can we keep a time, someone keep time for 10 minutes, just so that we don't go too far over?
Okay, I was told 10 to 15 minutes, and I will try to keep it within that range.
Okay, great.
Okay, so so I need to hit share screen, and let me just get it set up here. I have it already set up in the background. I just need to enlarge it. Okay. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lynn Hart. I have been primarily a weaver for a number of years. I started exploring working with paper media after I joined Paperworks in 2016. And beginning of 2020, I signed up for the Pima Community College bookmaking course, which unfortunately shut down mid-semester due to the pandemic shutdown. So they were trying to go into Zoom, and I just decided I didn't want to do that. I just decided to keep working on my own. So the books I've been using are Art of the Fold and Bookcraft to kind of continue learning on my own. I pretty much quickly fell in love with Coptic stitching. And primarily so far, my books have been empty, blanks. And I've made quite a few series of field journals for my husband, Dennis, who goes backpacking quite often. So they're Coptic stitch. I'm not going to show those, of course, because they're empty until he fills them. And but they're Coptic stitch, and I used 130-pound watercolor paper for the folios, and they have held up quite well for him. So my very first book was a self-portrait pocket accordion. And this was constructed from Art of the Fold. You can see there, I've got the information where I got this pattern from and instructions. And it's quite small. It was created in response to a self-portrait exercise. I was taking Donna Watson's 2020 Zoom workshop, Inner Excavation, Personal Expression. It's constructed from one sheet of a topographic map of one of my favorite areas in Arizona. And she basically did not tell us to make a book. She didn't really give us much instruction at all, except make a self-portrait with any medium you want that shows who you are as a person. So it has 4 pockets with cards that hold images that kind of sort of embody who I am as a person and animals that I have a connection with. And the other 2 pockets contain poems. The first poem is a Royden card. I'll go to this. There's the, he's a artist I admire that lives and works and is inspired by the landscape of Southern Utah. The last card is a poem that I wrote. Here you can see on the left how tiny it really is. The image on the front, I just glued on, I had taken one of Joe Anderson's gum Arabic transfer print workshops. And I found that once I used my toner ink copies to make the print, I really actually loved how the used up toner print copy looked. So I've saved all of those, and I decided to use it on the front of this book. In my work in my weaving with tapestries, and also my other work that I've done with mixed media collage, I'm very inspired by our desert. And here's the 4 cards that kind of show who I am. I feel like, it's not a whole picture of me, but a lot of self-portraits are one-offs, like you see a person's face. And as I started thinking about what a self-portrait really could be, we are all made up of layers of being. And I feel like this kind of format really kind of gives it a feeling of that. So the next 2 I'm going to share with you are works in progress that I'm currently working on now. The first one, Haiku Sonorensis, is a work in progress. I thought about entering it, but I realize now it might be too big in a display format for to meet the parameters of the Poetry Center's requirements, because the size of it closed will be like 7 by 9.5. So open, it will exceed that, the 15 by 15. So this book started coming about not as a book, but first as a series of collages, because I got enchanted with the idea that our desert has 5 seasons. And I learned that during my training. I worked as a Sabino Canyon volunteer naturalist from 2012 to 2016. And during our training, we learned all kind of stuff about the desert, because we led nature walks. They're still doing it. I'm not participating anymore, but they lead nature walks in children's programs. And when I learned that the desert had 5 seasons, I was just like thrilled by that. And it's always been in my mind. And one day I just got really inspired when I was working with mixed media collage to create collages that symbolize that. So each of these collages are 7 inches high by 9.5 inches wide on 130-pound watercolor paper. After they were made, I began writing poetry for each season. And those kind of got condensed down into a traditional haiku format, which is 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second, and 5 in the last. And now I'm going to just kind of scroll through those. This is primavera, is spring. Verano seco is dry summer. I use a lot of Spanish in some of my writing and in the titling of my works, both woven and non-woven, because I really fell in love with the language when I was working as a labor and delivery nurse. Right after we came here, I decided to learn Spanish because back in 1997, the late 90s, early 2000s, there actually were no laws concerning providing translation services in the hospital if someone did not speak English. So I decided to learn Spanish on my own, and I did so formally by taking classes and also going down into Baja, Mexico, and completed an immersion language program down there, complete with clinicals in the area hospitals. I just really feel like Spanish embodies the experience and the spirit of our desert in many ways, and I find it quite a descriptive, beautiful language. Sonorensis is, I really get turned on by words sometimes when I discover a word that I don't know, and then I look it up and I start kind of delving into it. I love looking up the etymology of words. So the sonorensis etymology is sonoren with an E, to make, cry out, make noise, sing, celebrate. And then ensis kind of means belonging to or originating in. And I found this interesting when I was putting the slideshow together, because I was thinking about the prompt that Anita sent out, which was getting, pretty much turned on by words. So those are the 5 seasons. And I was really unsure how I was going to bind it because they're 130-pound watercolor paper. Recently, I noticed, I follow Roberta Warshaw on Instagram, and she has started mounting her tiny little prints onto bookboard and then binding them as single sheets with a stitched binding. And we had a little conversation about that, and I was extremely excited. I feel like that's probably the format I'll use to bind these. And even though I think it'll be way too big to go into the Poetry Center or to submit for it, I'm excited that I found a way to finally bind it. Because when I first made these, I didn't know anything about bookmaking at all. So it's going to be a lot of fun, even if I don't get to put it in that exhibit. Hopefully something will come along where it will fit. The second work in progress is based on another word that I recently came across, solastalgia, which really resonated with me in many ways, because I had been feeling, really over the last year or so, of course, from the pandemic and everything, and the year before that, in case some of you don't know, I went through cancer and chemo. But then I, felt like, well, I'm coming back into feeling normal, and then the world's going to be normal, and then the pandemic hit. And then after the pandemic started, the shutdown started kind of easing off. We've been seeing, the environmental changes related to climate change here. We have some acreage, like 4.5 acres. And we live in the county between Oro Valley and Marana, and they are absolutely scraping the desert away and paving it over. And I was just becoming so very completely emotionally just blown by that. And when I came across this word, I realized this is how I'm feeling. This describes it. And this word was coined by hold on, I've just got some notes here to try to keep myself on track. An environmental philosopher by the name of Glenn Albrecht, and it's considered a neologism, which means a new word. He's interested in relationships between our ecosystem and human health, and he's pioneered research about psychoteric, which means earth-related, mental health conditions. He created the word solastalgia to kind of describe these concepts that he's exploring. And he wrote a book in 2019 titled Earth Emotions, New Words for a New World. And I was really thrilled to find out that our Pima County Library System has a couple copies. And so I've got one on hold, and I can't wait to get it and delve into it. And I hope it won't make me feel more depressed about this, but we'll see. I like to research my subject matter. So I started
his name again. Lynn, say his name again.
Glenn, Glenn, Albrecht, A-L, B as in boy, R-E, C as in cat, H, T as in Tom, Glenn Albrecht. So I started thinking about how could I interpret this word? And I've used cyanotypes in past work in collages, and they were fun to do, and I did them with plants. But I was, you know, I'm not really thrilled about that really vivid, kind of almost fake looking color, which I know it's not fake, but to me it's just like, it's kind of, doesn't have a lot of depth and expression. And I was searching for a way to perhaps use that method and do something different with it. So in kind of researching cyanotypes on the internet, there are a number of artists that are using a process called wet cyanotype. So I explored that, and I still was kind of like, well, I'm not really sure if I want to even use that. And then I realized I made copies of some of my images. Jacquard, who sells the cyanotype solutions, has a cyanotype negative generator on their website at jacquardcyanotype.com. And you can upload your photos into that. It will reverse them for you, so that if it matters to you which way, say, look at the Roadrunner, if you see the image originally as beak pointing left, and if you do the cyanotype with it, he will be pointing right unless you reverse the image. And the cyanotype generator, image generator, also can create negatives so that you can get the actual, instead of it would be reversed with it, say his beak would be black and all the black areas would be white, which would not look, it would look like an X-ray. And you don't, unless that's the thing you're going for, you kind of want it to look like what the image looks like. And then I had an idea of what if I did something that I haven't seen anyone else do, which is I have a lot of rust distressed papers. And I got some really very interesting results, and I'm extremely pleased with it. I feel like the way the imagery looks is kind of emotes the melancholy type of feeling I get when I think about the meaning of solastalgia and how I'm feeling about what's going on in our desert environment. So these prints are 6 by 9 roughly, and I'll fold them in half into 6 by 4.5 inch folios. And I will also have poetry in there and prose that I'm writing myself. And I was trying to think of a way to put that in there that didn't interfere with the imagery. And I've come up with putting it on inkjet vellum. So in case people aren't real familiar with cyanotype, I've got a few slides just showing what I did. I'll run through those now. So first you kind of apply the cyanotype solution, and most commonly what people do, you can buy paper that is already ready if you want to just fool around with it and see if it's something you like. But instead of letting it dry, like they say, let it dry like 12 or 24 hours, you know, here we can get away with much less drying time on everything because we're in the desert. You start processing and using it while it's wet. So here on the left, you see the rusted papers. And it's all kind of different paper. There's Japanese paper, there's like charcoal drawing paper. I don't care, I use anything. And here on the right, I've painted it and it's still wet. And you can see I've been painting on that cloth over and over again. And I put the cloth out in the sun just to see what would happen. It turned quite black. So on the left, I've got it prepared to go outside. And what I do to do that is I have 2 sheets of plexiglass. I lay the wet cyanotype treated paper down, and then I lay the transparency print over it with the ink side up. I don't want the ink to contact the wet cyanotype paper. I'm not sure what it would do, but I might experiment with that in the future. But if the ink gets wet, it kind of smears and runs because it's inkjet. So I make sure the rough side that the image is on is facing up. So you can see here, the top image is a dried Mexican sunflower head, and the bottom image is cat claw, is that a cat? No, white thorn acacia flowers, these two little pom-pom things. And on the right, I've popped it out into the sun. So now I go back inside and I start painting my next set of stuff. And you can see already in the short amount of time it took me to paint 2 more sheets of paper, sandwich them in their little processing sandwich and come back out. The first one I put out is already turning quite dark. And part of the wet cyanotype process is to over process it. So in cyanotype, normally they tell you to watch for the paper to turn white. And then as soon as it turns white, you run inside and you rinse it, and then you've got your print. But part of wet cyanotype, from what I saw online, how people were using it was to overprocess it. And again, they were having to wait many, many hours because they were doing it in some location where they didn't have a lot of sun. And here we're fortunate, it didn't take long, 2 or 3 hours. And this is the result. So on the left is the sunflower, dried sunflower head. And on the right is the white thorn acacia. And you can see it's quite distressed. It's this really beautiful, moody, deep indigo blues. You can see where the clips made little white triangles, which I don't care about that. I really love all these artifacts that happen when I do this process. Then you rinse them when you bring them in, and you let them dry because they continue to develop over the next 24 hours. You can also do other things, and they have a lot of information on the Jacquard cyanotype section of their website about doing other things with them to modify them, like vinegar. And I haven't really tried that. I just wanted to kind of like stay with see what the rust does. I know I'm also have worked with natural dye in the past with my fiber work, weaving work. And I know that iron is a modifier. It saddens colors, which means it kind of makes them darker and more moody. It will do that with indigo. And I have dyed paper with indigo, but that's like you have to make an indigo vat and everything. And while I really love that, it was like, I don't really want to go through making a vat and having to treat the paper so they withstand being dipped. And this process, I think, really gets the feeling of papers I've done with indigo and then done other stuff too. So I'm really pretty thrilled. And I am planning on entering this one once I get it finished into the Poetry Center book exhibit that we're all hoping to get into. Now I have just one last slide to share with you guys some future explorations I'm hoping to embrace. And this inspiration for a woven book form. So I've always thought when I started making books and doing stuff with paper, wouldn't it be cool if I could figure out some way to combine my weaving with the bookmaking I'm now starting to do? And I don't know how I came across this. You know, I do a lot of like researching, going down rabbit holes on the internet. And I discovered this artist. She's actually 94, so it's not like she's a new artist. She's a Japanese-American artist, Kei Sekimaki. She is known for her sculptural weavings. A lot of them are made out of monofilament. But she also does boxes, books, bowls made from leaves and paper, from hornet nests, and woven tubular forms. But I really got extremely excited about this woven book, and she's done several of them. This is the only one I could find a picture of on the internet, but I recently found I guess, I'm not sure if it's an exhibition catalog or just like a specialized catalog of her woven book forms. I have it on coming because I want to look at it, but she's used a process called double weave, where you can weave 2 layers of cloth on the loom at the same time. They can either be separate or they can be connected or stitched through. So I'm going to use my little cursor here and just explain. So these right here are the open parts of the weaving. This is, I believe, linen. Here is where they are connected. So on the loom, this here would be flat, completely flat. And I believe what she's done, because I cannot find anything at all about her process, is that she pushed these together and then maybe ironed them to get that crease. As far as the covers go, I'm assuming that she wove this section longer than these sections and was able to put a book board in there. And then she hand printed them. I'm not sure exactly how. This almost looks like block print, but this looks like she might have done some painting on the weaving when it was done. So while I don't want to exactly copy her book form, I am extremely excited about this possibility of trying to create some forms of my own and turn them into books. So I'm currently teaching myself how to do double weave. I have a floor loom, and there's a number of books out there about it. And I'm kind of working through this book, learning how to do the different methods in double weave. And I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about this, because, and all the things I've shared with you, because I felt like it was very inspiring for me to like look at what I'm doing in a closer, more focused way. Because, you know, like all of us, we have life and we're coming and going between working on our stuff and not working on it. And when I was putting this together, I was like, wow, I'm really even more excited about this than I was when I had the ideas to start these projects. So, and it's really a pleasure to share my work with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
That's great, Lynn. Your work is so impressive, and I'm totally inspired.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful work, Lynn.
Thank you.
Right, you want to take it away, Christy?
Okay, I guess I will. Okay, this is going to be hard to follow because I don't have anything fancy prepared for you guys. I was asked to talk about how content for a book can influence the structure. So I've got an older book with me here that I want to show you because I can't think of any book that I've done that is more influenced that the content is influencing the structure. So I'm just going to show it to you guys. This is it. It's a book. It's called Termini, and it has a poem inside titled Termini. It's about the central train station that is in Rome. And so what I did, it has a little story to it. So the poem is about the train station. And inside the train station, they used to have what's called a split flap. Does everybody know what a split flap is? No. Okay, so it's basically, remember when you used to have those little plastic things on your clock, and when the time changed, they would just roll over? That's basically a split flap. So in Termini, they used to have, now it's digital, sadly, but they used to have an entire display for every train coming and going, what track it was going to be on, what time it was going to arrive, depart, was all on a giant split flap. And so every time the information changed, it would make this clicking noise. So it would go click, 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 click. And you could tell, so you would be sitting in the station, you know, waiting to know when what track your train was going to arrive on. And you'd know to go look at it because you heard that sound. Unfortunately, now that it's digital, it doesn't make any sound. So everybody stands around staring at the digital display, trying to find out when their train is coming in, if it's late, what track it's going to arrive on. So I wanted to make a book that would be inspired by the split flap form. So it was such a huge thing in Termini, and Termini has really influenced my life. So what this book does is it actually opens up.
It's a Jacobs.
If I can get the whole thing. So I don't know if you can see it.
Just probably step back a little.
So yeah, let me step back. Because you don't need to see me, you need to see the book. Okay, so if you look at it, it's very long and open. You could see when it was folded, it was very small. Here's the poem on one side. The split flap, there's a lot of information about the split flap in the poem. And what the book does, so we have the poem on one side, a map of Rome on the other. And this is a map that I actually used getting around Rome. So there's all kinds of places where I've circled places that we were going and riding. And this book, I used what's called a magic wallet form to try to make it impersonate a split flap, because I especially wanted it to make noise. So it doesn't just have two sides, it has three. If I can get it to work. Oh, come on. So on this side, the third side, it actually has photos of Termini in it. And then the last photo, these are photos that I took basically of the train going by.
don't know if you can see it.
I don't know if you guys can see it because I've got this skylight that's
Maybe if you step back.
making a lot of light. Can you guys
Yeah,
see
I'll-
it?
I'll hold
Yeah.
this. Step into the light, hon. So it's light hitting it.
There, I don't know. Can you
There,
guys see
there,
it?
now they can see it.
So on this first side, the map always remains, but the second and third sides actually switch places the way a split flap would do. I don't know what else to say.
Can you close it and open it again?
Yeah, so it always closes and out, so then you can refold it. Very
Let's
small.
see if you can make it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can get it to make that sound because that was one of the most important things to me. And it was hard to find a structure that would actually even impersonate the split flap. So then you have to take the book. Let's see, this is a tricky thing. This is one of those things that the more you handle it, the less it appreciates it. So I don't know if you could hear, but it makes the little split flap as it goes down. So I don't know.
Christy,
Yes.
could you read one of the pages of your writing for us?
Yes, I was wondering if you would want me to read the poem.
Maybe just one section?
Sure. Yeah, because it is kind of a long.
Yeah,
poem.
and read slowly so we can take it in.
Okay, I'm wondering if I can find the section where I actually talk about the split flap. This is very well. I'll start with the beginning. In Termini, they stumble and shove, squeeze through tiny electric doors, and crowd down links of worn metal stairs, silver, bullet-riddled, textures felt straight through their shoes to their feet. They hit the platform stunned, heads dipping, shifting, back and forth, swifts, which way to go. Trash and splash of yesterday's coffee stains the stone. Their legs begin to move, skip, arms clinging tightly to bags, hands shift over handles of black, blue, or brown. All along trains, dirty left and right, they move towards these giant heads, bulbous. No need for the light of their single eye in this bright sun shafted down in beams. So brilliant, this late morning light guiding them along. And here's this, so that's the beginning, and you sort of get the feeling and the sound. I wanted the poem to also be rhythmic, as you can tell, which is what the split flap does. It creates this rhythm. So here's the section with the split flap. The split flap, click, 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 clicking of arrivals, departures, slap, 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 and there's a new place to go. And like grounded pigeons, they crank their heads backwards to see. Some move on towards the open mouth of Termini, past the glass cases filled with food, covering faces against slight smell of urine, baked bread, sugar. Small herds gather round self-serve kiosks, plastic cards slipping in and out, tickets spinning among constant drone of voices, broken by a shrill scream, breaking the squeak of shoes, the bump and bang of rolling bags. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, Termini is so much about sound, and that's why I wanted the book to have some kind of sound to it. It's a confusing place. It's an exciting place, but it also is a serious place. And so I'd like to read for you just one more stanza. This is the last stanza, and it actually has to do with what you often find in a train station like this, not just the chaos of people coming and going, but there's also sometimes people out front who are trying to rob you. There's also people who are, if you go to the restroom, you might find people who are ill, using drugs, things like that. And on a certain occasion, there were also a lot of homeless people in front of the Termini. They've cleaned things up a lot since, basically since they've joined the EU. And that's a little sad for me. I kind of liked it down and dirty. But so this is what you see outside when you leave Termini. And it's so I said, suddenly we burst outside in the heat, eyes blinking in the full sun. We prepare. Gypsies surround a tall, dark man, black hair slick with grease. A single hand slides from under the piece of cardboard into his front pocket and into darkness. The homeless rest in the shade against the hulk that is Termini. Skin as gray as clouds, clothes torn, stained. A man, shoulders slumped forward, reaches into his unzipped pants, pulls at himself, just aware enough to find his own pleasure. So it goes from the very kind of light side of Termini into a very dark side, which is this man having, this is all he has, is to masturbate out in front of the, I know that's terrible, but in front of the station. But that's part of it, you know, that's the grittiness of it and the worldliness of it. And my book is actually, it's so neat and tidy, you know, so it really contrasts, except for the sounds of the poem and the words, and maybe the motion of the photographs. It really contrasts what Termini is. So you really have to look into it and see. So are there any questions?
Are those ribbons that are connecting the different pieces of it, or what is that?
Yeah, that's how the book actually operates, this magic wallet design. So that holds it together so that you can actually flip it down, and each piece of the photo actually has to slip out from between the ribbons for the third side to show. I don't know if you can see that. So I have to pull it down, and then you can see the different, here's Termini falling apart as it is. This was built during Mussolini's time. So it's what they call a fascist architecture. I don't know if you can see. Definitely fascist architecture. And yeah, so that's how the ribbons operate. And then if you want to flip it, you have to take it all the way over. I never quite got the whole parts of the ribbon exactly the way I wanted them. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, so what's the thickness? What causes the clap sound?
Okay, so I've got two pieces of bookboard that are actually attached to each other. It's not very thick. I mean, as you can see, it's quite thin. So you have two pieces of bookboard, and then this piece that has the poem on it is its own piece. So it's got, I can actually kind of bend it apart here. So I've got a photo on one piece of bookboard and then a photo on the opposite piece of the poem. The only thing that maintains is this piece here.
Cool.
I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Bookboard would be like the standard kind of bookboard you'd use, like it's not a super solid plastic or something like that.
Oh, no, it's just your standard bookboard, and it's what, an eighth of an inch. And so you end up having a 1/4 of an inch with both pieces attached.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very cool.
Thanks.
I really, I think the whole concept and the way you put it together is so brilliant. And I'm so appreciative that you read the last part of the poem, because it added that really unexpected element to the whole experience.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. The poem to me, poems, I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually got my MFA is in poetry. But poems come to me more now as a gift. They don't come to me very often. And I find that they're not something that I can just write down. And this was one that was definitely a gift that just sort of flowed. It came out of me very suddenly. And yeah, I was able to just write it down and do very little editing. And I know that with this Poetry Center thing that is coming up with this show, words are going to be a really important part of our bookmaking. And we do want, I think, the words to influence what our books look like and how they operate. So, yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I don't know. I hope that was helpful to think about different ways that you could use words and use your words to influence your structures and the meaning of the book. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Hey.
Anita, do you want to talk about the prompt that you sent out?
Okay, let's see. We're several prompts. Oh dear. We're several prompts behind in showing work. So if anybody or everybody, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing here. All right, sorry. Let's take this last, we've got about 15 minutes here. I just first want to say those two presentations were phenomenal.
I don't know about mine, Anita.
Yes, I think, not only is the work phenomenal, but the people who made it today are phenomenal. And I learned things about you that I don't know. And the complexity of both of you, and just so thank you so much. I mean,
thank you.
Thank you. And I loved yours, Christy. I mean, no, don't even worry. That blew me away.
I have some photographs of it, but I have to admit I don't know anything about sharing my screen. Or this is the first time I've ever done anything on Zoom, and my husband had to set it up. So
okay.
We wouldn't have known if you hadn't told us. So
sorry.
It's in the same way the artist books are individual personal things, so are presentations, and they can just be very different, but very, very effective.
Yeah.
Both of you, very effective. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I could go on for the next 15 minutes just talking about your presentations, and I made little notes of things that were pretty amazing. Not how-tos necessarily, but just truly amazing about your work. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left. And so we can use this time for other people to share anything that they would like to share from the prompts, or anything else, or ask questions, or if you've got problems with pieces that we could all kind of put our heads together on. Before I forget, however, just in case I get carried away or you get carried away, our July meeting, hello baby. Our July meeting is for everyone to bring works in process to share, okay? Everybody got that? All right. All right, so I'm going to open it up for anyone right now this may have to do with the prompts. You may want to talk about what the process was like for you. If you did it, it doesn't necessarily work for everyone, or show something that came out of it. Who would like to share?
Connie.
You. Oh,
Connie's go.
Connie.
Yes.
Go,
I
Connie.
have This is from the first prompt, or well, the one, not last month, or this month, but last month. This is a painting from a gallery in China.
Could you hold it up just a little bit more? Up. More up.
Yes.
Ah, got it.
And I was very, very drawn to this space. I went back to this gallery a number of times just to see this painting. It was rather large. And if you can see the painting, I wrote some words to go with it.
Okay.
I have no voice. I am muted, hushed. I want to scream. I want to howl. I am unanchored, paralyzed, frozen. I float. I drift. I want to soar. I want to run. I shiver. I tremble. I want to smell the morning, the night, the flowers, the earth. I want to embrace. I want to push, pursue something more. I want to leap. Let me.
Wow. I've got little goosebumps. I've got goosebumps, Connie. Oh, I still got them. Thank you. Wow. So how was the process for you?
The words came very easy.
Okay.
And I had a lot of words, and then to trim it down to something more to the point.
Mhm. So you actually wrote in the voice of your art, the image in your art. You wrote in her voice, which is a good technique, you all. Great technique, yeah, to do that. Let your art speak. Sometimes that really works. Thanks, Connie. Okay, next. Anne? Doreen, I know you're always working.
I can share something.
Okay.
I did not make it to the little gathering, I'm sad to say, but I wanted to say that the books I got were very inspiring, the little chapbooks. And since then, I've started to pay attention to the Poem a Day site. So my ideas about what makes poetry are loosening quite a bit. And yesterday I had some random thoughts going through my mind about all of this, the change in the English language, especially in the American English language. And what's with all these ly words? How come everything has changed into an ly word? Like, for instance, we used to say second on the list. Now it's secondly, and so I thought, well, maybe I could come up with something using that sort of thought and turn it into a poetry book for the words and images thing.
Have you started on it yet?
I've started writing down some of the words that popped into my mind, and then sort of, what do you want to call it? Emotion. I'm not normally an emotional writer, and so this is different for me to think of how I can express my feelings about the changes without imagery. The imagery part is real easy for me, but the coming up with the words is different.
So I find this really interesting because back in the day also, without the LYs, poetry, the teachings when I started learning poetry was, don't use so many adjectives, adverbs, no, don't use those, don't do this, lots and lots of rules. And you're right, Rebecca, this has all loosened up, and we all need to loosen up with our writing to go with it. I would be amazed even to see a poem that's written with a lot of ly words, because honestly, I have never seen that. And I do a lot of reading of other people's works. I have never seen that before. So, wow.
Okay, no, I haven't seen any poetry on that either. I just thought, it might be a fun, because I like to do things that not everybody else is doing also. So to try it out. So
It would have an interesting sound too. I mean, that's another thing when you write poetry. We don't always consider how it's going to sound when spoken aloud, but poetry is meant to be a spoken art. It's meant not just to be read, but to be performed and spoken. So it would be interesting to hear how that would sound and the rhythms of it. Yeah.
You know, this has been such a great journey, being part of this group and hearing everyone talk about their work, and just, it's really opened my mind. And I stumbled upon, maybe everybody knows about it, but I stumbled upon this podcast called Poetry Unbound. And it's by Padre Otuma. And he reads a poem, and he's got such an incredible voice, first of all, but he reads the poem and then he talks about kind of what, some of the things are like history, and he gives you an insight into maybe what's happening in the poem. But other things are like how he's responding to the poem. And so he reads the poem once, does a little bit of interpretation, and then he reads the poem again. And the interesting thing is when he first reads the poem, I have my own reactions to what it's about. And it's not always his reaction, which is a good thing. But anyway, it's very inspiring. So if anybody is interested, Poetry Unbound, and I'm just following up on that, the performance of the piece, and thinking of hearing it out loud and reading it out loud.
I have something that I've been playing with thanks to Doreen. Doreen told me about this book, Poem Crazy. Does anybody have this one? And she suggests creating a word pool. And since she talked about it, she said, just create a word pool of things you see or hear or touch or read, and just write down the word. And then you just have this word pool or word bank. She suggests, and she puts them on index cards or little business cards and puts them around her house. But since we've been traveling and I've been on the road, I just have just a piece of paper. And every time I come across a word that sounds, oh, that's a cool word, I'm just writing it down. So now I have a page of words that I've loved, that they don't go together yet. They're just words I like. And then she said, create a pool of made up words. And once you start making up words, it's really kind of fun. You just make up words. So I'm looking forward to then when I have that blank piece of paper and I'm writing a poem, then I just go back to the word pool and say, oh, that was a cool word that I really liked. So that's been fun. So thanks, Doreen. I did finally buy the book, Doreen.
That's a good idea as well, Michelle, because I find that now that we're much more isolated, I mean, we're starting to see people again. I don't speak that much, and I don't use a lot of words. So my brain is slipping a little bit. Words don't come easily. So it's nice to, it's a really good idea, I think, to have a word pool to come from. And you could even just go through the dictionary and pull words out that you like and jumble them up in a jar and then see how you could use them. Yeah.
It's going along that.
So I'd like to invite you just to do a little performance with your word pool and read it. Read some, almost like you were reading, but you can read in any way that you want. And just read some of those words for us.
And this will be fun because I haven't read them out loud.
Yeah.
Moth-eaten, bottled up, misbegotten, chow, trinket underwater, unresolved stars, great rift, drift, lift, sequence, consequence, casserole dish, galvanizing, snooping, tripping, whole, measured.
Nice reading.
I was with a friend at Ghost Ranch and just enjoying the view and doing a little painting. And I said, oh, gee, I wish I could write a poem. And she said to create a word bank or pool about everything that came to mind in that setting. And so that's where I started. And I put down 100 words on a piece of paper. And that's how I began writing the poem about that place.
I love that you put in casserole dish.
Yeah. Another really cool way to generate words, if you get like, you know, in my presentation, you saw I was enthralled by 2 different words, is there's an app you can get on your phone, or you can just look on your computer, an etymology dictionary, and you put a word in and it shows you the etymology. It tells a lot of interesting history about the word, but then it also shows words that are related to it. So you can really get into going down all these different pathways and discover new words and write them all down together. And sometimes the base meaning of a word from its first origins is a complete surprise to the way it is used now. And I've done that a lot, and it's a lot of fun. And especially if you have it on your phone, if you're somewhere and you see a word, you can, you know, you're killing time or waiting or whatever, you can pull up the app on your phone and do a little search on the etymology and see what it pops up with.
Michelle, can you share some of your made up word pool?
Yeah, I only have a few, but they're super fun. Dirk, profun, perfunk, pelunk, ortus, glimey, spote, spall.
That's great.
That's great.
I think spall sounds like it's an actual word. What's the definition of that?
I don't know. I'm going to have to make one up. I don't know.
I think it's kind of something between a squall on the water and maybe some kind of sport, you know?
Spall is spall. How did you spell it, Michelle? Spall is S-P-A-L-L, and it means like if you've seen old Adobe and here's the wall and its pieces are like splitting off. That's what spalling is.
Oh, so I
Is
didn't
it a
know.
real word?
It is a word.
It is a real word. It is a real
fun.
word.
I pictured it being spelled S-P-W.
S-P-A-W-L, spall.
Yeah,
With a southern drawl.
that's right.
Okay, you all, fun with words. Keep it up. Amazing. Oh, wouldn't it be fun to see an artist's book with made up words and somehow defined through images? Oh my. Wow.
Or
Okay.
even your structure. What kind of structure would you use for a
Right.
made up words?
Or even just one word for a whole book.
Uh-huh.
One made up word with making up definitions and images, and oh, what fun. Thank you
Anita?
for that. All right.
Anita, I have a quick question. I know we don't have time to delve into this, but I, in watching Christie's presentation and in mine, when I mentioned, you know, that my one book that I thought I could submit, I realize now I can't because opened, it would be too big. So that brought a question to my mind that I wanted to pose to all of you expert bookmakers. You know, I've exhibited my woven works a lot, but they're like 2D flat, and it's very easy to like put them into an exhibit, but this would be the first time having a 3D thing. And I'm not really familiar with, you know, how are books presented in an exhibit? I'm assuming they have to be open in some way, because what's the point otherwise? But I think it would be really interesting if at some point during one of our meetings, you guys, those of you who have this experience of exhibiting books or curating exhibits with books could speak to that, to help those of us who are kind of new to this. Because it's like, at first it's like, yeah, I'll make a book. And it's like, oh yeah, how is this thing going to be viewed? How will I want it presented in an exhibit? How will the curator prefer to do it? I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of things that could be, I could learn about that, and maybe other people as well who are newer to bookmaking like myself, but that would be a lot interesting to hear.
I think that's a really good idea. And what popped into my mind, Lynn, since I know the Poetry Center is opening August 17th, now they're going to be really busy, and I know that, but in the beginning. But wouldn't it be fun if we could have a meeting down there and the Poetry Center people could show us some books and displayed and talk about how they like to display the books.
Yes. Oh my God, I would love that. I would love to see you all in person. I would love to go someplace.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, and
Well, let me find out if they know ahead, maybe they can, because we'd want to
Accommodate.
do it soon after they reopen so that we can all learn from it.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
That
I
would be
love
fun.
that.
it is difficult too to display a book because books are made to be held and touched. When
Yes.
the first book that you show with the little pockets that can kind of be in the round, that's a nice book idea for being displayed because you can see more than one page at once. I think something like a Coptic isn't as good because you only get to open it to one page and then leave it there. So something that's a little more sculptural and small, of course, it can't be too big, is kind of a good idea. Yeah.
All right, we're going to need to stop you all, but I will ask them for some kind of maybe a very informal type of thing so they don't have to plan because they're going to be really busy. But we'll see if we can get that arranged maybe for the end of August, even before. Oh, Laura, it would be nice if you were back. When are you coming back?
I'm not coming back till October.
What?
Okay.
All right.
You can't stay away till October.
Anyway.
Okay, I'll come back early.
Okay.
Well, let me see if they would be willing to do that for us, because I think that would be really helpful, and I think it would be really fun too. All right, great meeting you all.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
I just want to say thank you, Roberta, for the inspiration, and I'm glad you showed up. And I hope that you will be one of the presenters because you guys should see her little print books. I think Michelle and I and Roberta all follow one another, and they are extraordinary.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you. Thanks for telling me about this group. It's great.
Yes, you're so welcome to be here. You belong here. You need to be part of this.
Thank you.
Okay, you all. See you in July.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
All right. Bye.
Great meeting.
Bye.